I was supposed to have pledged a lifetime of love to become husband and wife, but my marital life with David became a hell for me. His parents doted on him, and he prioritized them over me, making unreasonable demands. I refused to let them ruin my life. To punish everyone, I concocted a surprise. My name is Alyssa, and I'm 29 years old. I've been married to David for a year now. We work at the same company and often collaborate on projects. Although I don't have a college degree, I've been with the company longer and have more experience than him. Despite being a high school graduate, my good sales performance has earned me a decent salary, as our company values ability over academic background. David, who is capable and highly trusted by his colleagues, was a boyfriend I could be proud of. I fell for him and gladly accepted his proposal, and we happily became a married couple. But then my in-laws began to interfere in our relationship. One day, while visiting their house, my mother-in-law suddenly said to David, "Hey David, are you really okay with marrying Alyssa? You've always been good at both studying and sports, haven't you? Yet you chose someone like Alyssa." My father-in-law nodded in agreement. "Yeah, at first glance. She seems like an average young woman with nothing special about her." David responded, "It's fine. I love Alyssa." But my mother-in-law gave me a side glance that said otherwise. I felt humiliated but kept my composure to maintain a peaceful marital life, avoiding conflict with my in-laws as much as possible. On another occasion, my in-laws started complaining in front of me. "Hey David, are you really okay with your current workplace? Isn't it a place where even high school graduates like Alyssa can work?" David replied, "The pay is good, and I have good colleagues." His parents continued, "You're smart. There must be many other good jobs out there." I seethed inside but stayed silent, believing that responding would mean losing. I did my job well and sometimes even earned more than David. It was clear I didn't have a good impression of my in-laws, who judged based on academic background or appearance. However, they didn't physically bully me, and I didn't suffer much direct harm. David knew from the start that I was a high school graduate, and he always told me, "I love everything about Alyssa." I took pride in my achievements at a company that valued ability over academic background, and I believed David was on my side. However, after a while, an incident broke out. Out of nowhere, David began speaking of something unbelievable. "Hey, I've been thinking. I've decided to switch to a different job." "Wait, what? What are you talking about all of a sudden?" I asked, stunned. "I was talking to my parents and realized our company even hires high school grads like you, Alyssa," David said. "I have a college degree, so there must be a better job out there for me." "Are you serious? You're insulting both me and the company," I retorted. "But it's true, isn't it? There's no need for me to work at a job that even a high school graduate can do. Plus, my mom said she could introduce me to a job through someone she knows." "Stop it. We are blessed with a good work environment, and now you're saying something like this." "You're nagging." I finally realized I'm not someone who should be stuck in a place like this. It was clear his parents had influenced him, and he convinced himself that he was too good for our company. The very next day, without discussing it with me, he submitted his resignation and left the company. Only a year into our marriage, my husband had quit the job where we met, without a second thought. He switched to a factory job his mother arranged, where his salary dropped to about half of what it was. The only advantage was that it was close to home, making commuting easier. About a week after starting the new job, he began to complain. "That guy, even though he never went past middle school, has the nerve to tell me what to do," David said, scattering his clothes about. "Wait, why are you so angry? If you make such a loud noise, it's going to bother the neighbors," I tried to calm him. "Shut up? Why do I, a university graduate, have to be bossed around by a low-level boss who's just a middle school graduate? You just started there. It can't be helped. He's your boss, right? I don't care. He can't even study, but he has the nerve to boss me around. Damn it. Who's the real problem here? What can a newcomer do without instructions from your boss? You chose to switch jobs, so bear with it a little. I know that already. Would he be able to continue at his current workplace? How long could he endure the situation? My attempts to soothe him only worsened his mood. Every day became a struggle to get him to work. My doubts were confirmed when he caused a major issue at the factory. You broke the factory equipment, I exclaimed, shocked. My husband slammed his hand on the table. It's not my fault. It's that damn boss who pissed me off. But that doesn't mean you should break the factory equipment. That's absolutely unacceptable. What were you thinking? I had no choice. That guy was bossing me around even though I'm a university graduate. His boss, who had only graduated from middle school, had criticized David for not working seriously. In response, David insulted his boss's academic qualifications. The fault was clearly with David, so everyone sided with the boss. Enraged, David went into a violent rage, damaging part of the conveyor belt and stopping the production line. This led to his immediate firing and a large claim for damages. Since it was a factory his parents had introduced, they had to pay the damages as well. As a result, David lost all his savings, and even his parents' retirement fund seemed to vanish instantly. My parents are struggling right now, but they're moving into this apartment next week, David said. I let out an absurd gasp of surprise. Living together. I never heard about this, I protested. You're my wife, right? Just listen and keep quiet. This is a done deal, that it. With those words, David left the room, slamming the door. A few days later, my in-laws actually moved into our home. I thought it was a joke, but it became my harsh reality. Living together was absolutely impossible, so I confronted them directly. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, living together is a problem. Shut up. It's your fault our son couldn't make it at the factory, my father-in-law snapped. That's right. You neglected David's mental care, didn't you? Added my mother-in-law. Wait a minute. How is this my fault? I asked, bewildered. Can't you shut up? Our life is a mess because of you, they continued. That's right. If you had done things right, this wouldn't have happened. It's all your fault, so living together is natural, right? The logic is all messed up. Living together is impossible. Shut up. Our home was rented, and we've already terminated the lease. There's nowhere else to go, my father-in-law said. That's right. We have nowhere else to go other than here, echoed my mother-in-law. Despite moving in without permission, my in-laws had a lot to say. Furthermore, David began to insult me, egged on by his parents. Hey, Alyssa, I married you. You should be happy to be married to someone as excellent as me, shouldn't you? Forget about that. Can't you start looking for a job soon? It's hard on the household finances now that we're living together. What did you say? You're cheeky for a wife. Supporting your husband is a wife's duty. And supporting your husband's family is also a wife's duty, right? I'm getting sick of you spouting nonsense as if it makes sense, I muttered. Neither David nor my in-laws helped with household chores at all. I had a job too, so I couldn't make elaborate meals, and the cleaning inevitably got neglected, no matter what they said. I kept a cool attitude, saying, because it's hard on the household finances. If they weren't happy with it, they, who caused the situation, should do it. I maintained this attitude for several days until one day, David finally vented his frustration. Hey, what's with your attitude? You're lacking respect for me and my parents. Enough already. I work every day and do all the housework on top of that. You don't help at all but complain a lot. Huh? What's with that tone of voice? You don't seem to understand your place, do you? With that, David shoved divorce papers in my face. He had even kindly signed them. What is this? Can't you see? It's a divorce paper. Even a high school graduate can understand that, right? Are you serious? Of course. If you have complaints about me and my parents, then we're getting a divorce. Staring at the divorce papers, David spoke with a triumphant look. Let me tell you, even if you throw it away, it's useless. I have more prepared. Understand? If you don't want to be divorced, listen to what I say, you stupid high school graduate wife. In that moment, my rage burst forth. I couldn't stand to be with these people anymore. Since he went to the trouble of preparing it, I'd put it to good use. Clutching the divorce papers, I began to plot my revenge. First, I recorded the numerous insults from my husband and in-laws on a voice recorder. When my belongings were deliberately broken, I made sure to document that as evidence. By this time, David had started working odd jobs, but none of them lasted even a week. It was as if he had given up on our family. One day, as soon as David came home, he announced, "Oh man, I quit this job too because it was too boring." "Huh, again? You have no right to complain to me, right?" "Yeah, Dad, Mom." My in-laws just nodded with smiles. This was a usual occurrence, but on this day, my father-in-law delivered the final blow. "Speaking of which, I've quit too," David's father announced. "What? Father-in-law? What are you talking about?" "That's what I'm saying. I've quit my job. I'm planning to live off you, Alyssa." "Wait, what?" "You see, my son is too brilliant and prideful to work under those who only graduated middle or high school. We're counting on you, Alyssa, a high school graduate, to work hard." "Yeah, let's count on our lowly educated Alyssa to work hard, right, dear?" What were they even saying? They intended to live off not their son, but their daughter-in-law. I couldn't stand it any longer. With my father-in-law and David's simultaneous resignation, I knew there was no point in spending any more time with this family. I finally decided to put all my plans into action. The first thing I did was sign a contract for a new apartment. It wasn't for all of us to move in, of course. It was a new place for me alone. However, I needed time to move without my husband and in-laws noticing, so I gifted them a 5-day trip to give me time to pack. Upon receiving the trip tickets, my mother-in-law was thrilled. "A trip? Oh, Alyssa, you do have a knack for these things every once in a while." "I owe a lot to you all," I replied with a forced smile. "But are you sure, Alyssa? You can come with us if you like." "No, I have work. Please enjoy yourselves without any interruptions." "Oh, really? Well, then we'll take you up on your offer and have a blast," she exclaimed. When the three left for their trip in high spirits, I carried out my planned move. During this time, I shipped my husband and in-laws' belongings to a weekly apartment I had booked and canceled the lease on our current apartment. I bore all these expenses. It was a painful outlay, but I considered it a necessary expense for my revenge. A few days later, my husband, who must have returned from the trip, called me. "Hey, what the hell is going on? I can't unlock the door." Smirking at the sound of my husband's frantic voice, I calmly responded, "I suppose I've already canceled that apartment." "What? Canceled? What are you talking about? Explain properly." "For now, I've stored all of our belongings in a weekly apartment nearby. Feel free to do as you wish from there." "What? What does that mean? You're always doing as you please. If you get too cocky, you'll pay for it later." "Are you threatening me? Should I call the police?" I asked, maintaining my composure. "Dan it!" My husband cursed. "How dare you, my foolish wife?" "Oh, I'm not your wife anymore." I dropped the bombshell. "What? To prevent any legal issues later, I've already completed the divorce proceedings." "What? Such a selfish act. You think it's acceptable." Taking a deep breath, I spoke firmly into my phone, "Sorry, but I don't need your permission. You've made fun of me for being a high school graduate long enough, and now you've quit your jobs to become dependent on me. I'm done with you. Enjoy your family life without me." "Hey, you must be kidding. I didn't really mean to divorce." "Why should I listen to you at this point? We're strangers now. I don't care what happens to you at all. Please wait. You've enjoyed looking down on people, haven't you? I can easily imagine your struggles, and it makes me laugh. Go as low as you can with your family, you trash," I said, and promptly hung up the phone. After that, David kept badgering me with phone calls, but I ignored them all. Later, David and my in-laws caused a ruckus at the entrance of the apartment building, dramatically damaging part of the mailbox, which ended up becoming a police matter. They were taken away and ultimately asked to pay for the damages to the mailbox, adding to their debts. Truly, they are a hopeless family. The lease for the weekly apartment where I had set their belongings is about to expire. Since they do not know my new address, they can't rely on me. I can't help but wonder how David, who quit his job at the same time as his father, and his stay-at-home mother are going to survive from here on out. To make matters worse, my in-laws have even canceled the lease on their rented family home. I can almost see them sinking into a bottomless swamp. I can't help but admire my well-executed plan. I don't know how they're going to survive from here on out, and frankly, I don't care. But it's clear their future isn't bright. They brought this upon themselves. On the other hand, I am living carefree in my new home alone. Being able to spend my time leisurely without anyone bothering me is the ultimate bliss. For the time being, I don't think I'll be living with anyone else. From now on, I plan to thoroughly enjoy my